All right, welcome back to the Green Dispensary Marketing GDM podcast. My name is Samuel Fisher. I'm the co-founder of GDM. We focus on helping cannabis operators build their digital assets to sell more ounces, bongs, all those premium products you're trying to sell. And in 2025, we've been doing these digital panels on our podcast to kind of bring the best in the cannabis business together, share strategies that are working. And one of the big strategies that people are really buying into in 2025 is SEO. And so I'm really stoked because today we have three experts on the topic of SEO. This is a really important service. I've seen personally how dispensaries leverage it, dominate their local market, and I've also seen others that get buried in search results. And so really what we're trying to do today is really just kind of break through the noise, give dispensaries the strategies they need and that they can implement today to start dominating their local markets. So really excited for this panel today. To get started, I want to really quickly introduce each of our panelists. Up first, we have Brady Manning. Up first, we have Brady Madden. He's the CEO of Evergreen Digital, which is an SEO company for cannabis operators. And he's also the founding member of the Elite Cannabis Operators Mastermind. Up next, we got Musa. He is the co-founder of WebRank Digital. This is a company that helps with the local and national SEO for cannabis brands, smoke shops, and plenty more in the space. They kind of get their hands in a lot of different things, helping out with their SEO. And then finally, we have Zach, who is the CMO over at CannaPlanners. They're one of the bigger agencies to kind of help with e-commerce and SEO. And so they got this whole list of SOPs and strategies that they're going to give us just a little bit of their knowledge today. And so really stoked to talk with each of you. And so real quick, let's go ahead. I wanted to introduce each of you individually, give you guys your own chance to shine here. And so give me about 2 minutes each. Let's start with Zach. Can you tell me about what you do over at CannaPlanners and a little bit about your background, please?
Yeah, sure. So, hi, I'm Zach. I'm the CMO at CannaPlanners. I guess my title is CMO, but we're still very much a startup. So what I do depends on the day. When I started with CannaPlanners, I was really mainly an SEO consultant. So most of my background is in local optimization, Google Business Profile optimization. On a day-to-day, week-to-week basis, I'm mainly managing our internal teams here. So we offer a lot of services. My role as the CMO is to oversee the SEO services and the retention services that we offer. So separate from monthly SEO management, we also do some email and SMS marketing. And my job is to just kind of manage those teams. And then once or twice a week, I put on the CFO hat and meet with our bookkeepers and accounting teams and stuff like that too. But yeah, for the most part, we've really just been helping dispensary retailers be found online by their customers. My background is, like I said, in SEO, specifically local. I've spent a lot of time at other agencies in other industries like plumbing and HVAC and automotive, where customer acquisition is very similar to what it is now in cannabis, where a lot of people, if you're looking for a plumber, you're searching plumber near me. If you're in the search for a new car, you might be searching Audi dealer near me or Ford dealer near me. So a lot of those strategies that we used to apply at those other agencies and those other industries transfer really nicely to cannabis. So like Sam said, we've been able to develop some really awesome strategies and SOPs that, also lend a little bit more specifically to this industry. So yeah, I think that's a good high level overview of me.
Love it. Let's go ahead and move over to Musa and WebRank Digital. Interested to hear more about you personally, what you got going on over at WebRank.
Absolutely. Hey guys, my name is Musa. I'm one of the co-founders at WebRank Digital. We've been operating for a little over 2.5 years with this particular agency, but me and my partner, Patrick Ryan, have been in the industry for over a decade. Worked for some of the biggest companies out there that you're probably familiar with on the local side, website SEO, the whole nine. A little similar to Zach's experience in terms of working with other industries before really getting into the dispensary, vape shop, and smoke shop realm. Some background about myself. Actually, my family owns some smoke shops as well in New York. So before really getting into this space, we developed a program to actually help them out, especially understanding the power of of leveraging local SEO on the Google Business Profile front. Some of the biggest things that we focus on is really tailored a program towards not just showing up for the keywords that matter, but also working on the things that matter as a partner with these smaller companies and smaller shops. One of the things is reputation management. Another thing is really focusing on making sure they have quality products, quality customer service, and understanding the day-to-day operations of our clients and also the customer experience. So overall, our company works with hundreds of different dispensaries as of today. We're growing pretty fast in terms of that realm. A lot of case studies really focused on putting out there the things that really matter on the local front, because when a customer is looking for a dispensary or a vape shop or a smoke shop, they're going to go to Google. Over 70% of searches are done on a mobile device. So really having yourself in front of customers and really dominating and understanding the local market is what we focus on. In terms of experience, I think really understanding the evolution of the market, especially in the dispensary and the vape shop world, it's growing by over 24% every single year. Understanding the laws of certain states, of the federal blanket that may or may not be coming, and everybody's waiting on that as well, is really putting all of us in terms of partnerships at the forefront of this industry. So I'm glad to be here, glad to provide some advice and some info and really learn from the other experts on this panel.
Yeah, likewise. Really excited to have you in here, Musa. Finally, up at the last corner, we got Mr. Brady Madden, Evergreen Digital. Can you tell us more about you, sir?
Yeah, for sure. Well, thanks for having me. Similar to the other guys, focused on the search engine optimization side of the cannabis space. I also spent, lots of time in, different industries and things like that. I mostly started in the wellness and nutrition space, selling like vitamin supplements and, all sorts of like wellness programs and things like that. I transitioned into a digital agency where I worked for a number of different companies, both locally and B2B. Definitely spent a lot of time on the B2B side of things, working with like niche operators and things like that. And I do a lot of that in the cannabis space today, working with like niche type of companies operating on the B2B side of things, as well as dispensaries that are focused on the retail space. But really, cutting my teeth on those other industries and becoming, I like to call like a T-shaped marketer, being able to, fully understand all the digital avenues and digital channels and how they work together and, what makes sense in what situation, but then being able to go deep on the SEO side of things. And so I've really spent a lot of time understanding algorithm updates and just various things that need to happen in order to, make a website be able to rank well with Google, especially in the cannabis space, given all the regulations and just all the various hoops and things like that this industry has to jump through that most others don't. And so my company does that. We focus on, again, search, mainly the search space. Obviously, that's starting to get into the AI space and things like that too. I'm sure that'll come up at some point, but that's where my focus is, and really just building websites that can last without me. I think that's the biggest thing, and one of the reasons why I call my business Evergreen is it's not just about creating evergreen content, but it's about creating an evergreen website that even if a client were to not be with me anymore or anything like that, that website is going to continue to maintain, and it's going to continue to grow, and it's going to continue to flourish, whether somebody's working on it or not. But obviously, we know that there's a lot to it, and there's a lot that goes into it. So excited to be on this panel, and like Musa said, learn from some of the other experts we got on here. So
yeah, absolutely. You just made a couple really great points. One about the empowering dispensaries to own their assets. I think it's a huge aspect that a lot of people kind of pass up on, and also the fact that the cannabis industry is just different, there's a lot of restrictions, and it's really one of the big reasons why SEO is so important for cannabis brands in 2025. But let's break into this. Super excited to have all of you on here. And so we're going to go ahead and move into our moderated discussion. And so I'm going to give you each 10 minutes to have the floor. I'm going to give you a topic. You can kind of run with it a little bit, but do try to stay on topic as much as you can. And then, if you guys want to ask each other questions, kind of bounce off, share your time, you're more than welcome to do so. And so let's start off with Zach. And so CannaPlanners is one of the big agencies for getting a website, specifically an e-commerce website. And so what are the top parts of the website that you need to optimize first to ensure that your dispensary gains fast SEO traction? You got 10 minutes starting right now.
All right, cool. There's a lot to cover in that realm. I think,
But you got 10 minutes.
honestly, yeah. Great. So it all starts like with the brand. I mean, we can talk about SEO and I'll get into that, but at the end of the day, like CannaPlanners does more than just SEO. We're a full web and creative agency. So we design brand identities from the ground up. Everything from the name of the brand or dispensary to the color palette to the fonts to the logo, product packaging design, all of that stuff. We like to create a lot of applications for these things so that, you have assets that don't just live on a t-shirt. They can live kind of on a window or anywhere that you might want to display your business. So I think being able to have that brand consistency throughout the customer experience is huge. And like a lot of people forget that it starts from there in a lot of ways. And that translates to a lot of things. Like SEO it touches many aspects of the business, right? So like reviews, you got to have an excellent customer experience in the store, your bud tenders, the way that all of that stuff comes into play is really important. But in terms of just like basic steps, like optimizing the website for search, the most important things, in my opinion, is the Google business profile is number one. That's like the lifeblood of a retailer's customer acquisition, right? Because if you search dispensary near me, which is like the most important keyword for our retail clients, the Google business profile is going to be what shows up. You got that local map pack, or if you're on your phone, a lot of times you go right to maps, and that's the listing that shows up there. So optimizing that profile is the most important thing, and that connects directly to the landing page that you link from the website link on that profile. So we put a lot of effort into creating and optimizing the profile and aligning it with the website. Google Business has a lot of guidelines that you have to adhere to. So really understanding those guidelines and knowing what you can and can't do is hugely important. Cannabis is super competitive on the Google business side of things because of the fact that this is a regulated industry and there's a lot of traditional forms of marketing that are unavailable. So when you have one that is available, everybody's going to run to it and jump on all of the opportunities possible to optimize that profile and that existing channel to the best of your ability. So you got to be careful because it's easy to get suspended. It's easy for users to suggest edits that are incorrect. So you got to really maintain that profile and ensure that all the information on it is accurate and correct. All the information on it is relevant in terms of the keywords that you want to show up for, and that you're not violating any guidelines and that users aren't suggesting things that Google automatically accepts that violate guidelines, because this being a duress category or a restricted category, cannabis with Google, it's much easier to get flagged. So I would say that Google business profile and the way that you verify it and maintain it is step one, the most important thing. Outside of that, the website landing page, like I mentioned, is hugely important too. So there's a lot of things that Google looks for when they're looking at your website and the Google business profile in terms of, making that profile appear in search results. So like when you're on the homepage, making sure your meta title is optimized for the keywords and the location that you're in, making sure you have all of your, H1s and H2s and all the proper content on the website. So we have a standard procedure of content that we write and keywords that we include on a given landing page. A lot of this stuff is really important to get customers buy-in to, clients buy-in, because some of the keywords that you want to use and optimize for, some of the most searched keywords might have stigmas associated with them, and you want to have that conversation with your clients. Not everybody wants to paste the word marijuana or weed around their website or on their Google business profile, but at the end of the day, you might have to do that in order to show up for those keywords, and those are really important ones that a lot of people are searching for. So, I think that also speaks to the landscape that you're in too, because different clients are in different locations. There's different demographics and people search things differently. I think, just to touch on the marijuana piece, for the last few decades, the government and the entire country has referred to cannabis as medical marijuana or marijuana in general. That doesn't just go away now that we have legalized cannabis. People still search for the word marijuana, and that exists in a lot of different capacities as well. So paying attention to that, depending on where you're at, and optimizing for those keywords, depending on what people are actually searching for and what you offer, is really important. Because if you don't offer medical and you are ranking for medical marijuana, maybe you're not going to bring in the right people, or vice versa. So, optimizing that landing page and aligning it to the Google business profile and making sure that you're hitting on all of the geo-related terms that you want to show up for is hugely important too. So I think that's like the foundation. And then the way that we look at SEO services from there, it's just about expanding out. And I don't know how long I've been talking for, Sam, so I'm relying on you to hold me accountable for
you got about 4 more minutes, so you can keep going.
Cool. So we offer a few different levels of SEO service, and the difference is really just how much actual content we're writing and publishing on the website. And I think like one of the things that we focus on is just hitting certain goals. So the first thing that we want to do when we're writing content is maybe expanding that local market. So with your Google business profile, for example, one of the biggest ranking factors for that profile is proximity. So you're only going to be able to show up for these near me searches within a certain proximity from your actual physical location of your storefront. You still want to bring people in from outside of that radius, right? But if your Google business profile doesn't rank, how do you show up in search results? Well, you build pages and you write content targeting those other towns. So that's one of the most important strategies for a website, is just having, that plan to target those surrounding areas, regions, and towns, landmarks that your Google business profile is not going to show up in. So that's number one, just expanding that local regional market. Number two, and that's this really bottom of the funnel. So like the way we approach this is at different points of the marketing funnel. So yeah, dispensary near me and the foundation, and then kind of expanding is all like really low parts of the funnel where people are searching for like a dispensary near me. They're ready to go to your store and make a purchase today. Then from there, you want to be hitting on people that might be at more of the mid funnel. They're doing some product and brand related research. So that's where having an optimized menu is really important, because, you can't, for the most part, like, a lot of the brands and products that people are searching for are still pretty hyper local, right? Like you can't do interstate commerce. So somebody searching for a brand in your own state, there's a good chance that they're going to come buy from your store. So that's a really good opportunity to do some more customer acquisition. There's only so many people who are searching dispensary near me, but there's a lot of people who are doing some research around the brands and products that you sell. Another great way to show up in search results and drive people to your website. So making sure all of your products are optimized with a unique description that is different from the million other people that have that same product on their inventory menu is really important. Same thing for brands. So that's, step 2 in terms of optimizing the website, I would say.
2 minutes.
And from there, like on top of that, there's going to be a lot of questions that people are asking too. So this is like a little bit more top of the funnel. People might be asking questions about products. They might be asking questions about like what's TAC versus THC, or they might be asking specific questions about different strains, or the different ways that like indica or sativa or different terpenes affect them. So you might want to, start attracting people at that stage. And that's a really great way to kind of build some authority as well. A lot of these frequently asked questions, blog posts, building those on your website can attract some really great traffic and potentially people who are going to turn into customers, but can also do a lot for brand awareness too. And just showing up in search results for related queries and questions can help out your overall authority, and can even get you some natural backlinks pointing to your website. So that's a really good opportunity to optimize too. So I think those are like 3 or 4 really solid things that you can do right off the bat. Optimize the Google business profile, make sure you're following all the guidelines. Optimize the landing page that's linked from the website link on that profile. Make sure you have all the proper keywords. Kind of expand that reach, build some more content on the website to focus on towns where the Google business profile might not show up in. Optimize your menu to bring in some mid-funnel traffic, people searching for products and brands, and then kind of take it a step above and do some authority building with some content surrounding frequently asked questions and things like that. I think that's a good 10-minute high-level overview. I'm sure there's a ton of stuff that I missed, and we'll get into it. But yeah, from an optimization and content standpoint, that's where we focus.
No, love it, man. That was like a great blog post where you had the introduction and then the body and then the conclusion, where you started off with your main points and you broke into each of them and then you concluded by bringing them back together. Love it, man. Love it. Great. Thank you for that great response. Let's go ahead and move on to Brady Madden. How can new cannabis businesses quickly gain traction in SEO and start to compete with those long-standing corporate competitors, those big old MSOs in their area? What if a mom and pop moves into the store? How can you compete with them? 10 minutes.
Yeah, that's a great question. We'll see if I got 10 minutes on it. But I definitely, just kind of starting out, a lot of stuff that Zach said, I would do all that for sure. Everything from the GBP the Google Business Profile, certainly that's going to be important, and all the on-page stuff. I think that's really important. I think especially with the Google Business Profile and the on-page stuff, I think that's always my starting point, especially even when competing against an MSO, because those are the things that you can control. It's you can't control the fact that the MSO is a massive company and you're just a small mom and pop shop. You don't necessarily have control over that. But what's probably good to know is that I feel like, and I've worked with a number of different MSOs over the years, but a lot of times MSOs can also be inefficient. And so there can also be some areas that you can actually make up ground on an MSO to where they might have a stronger profile, they might have a stronger brand, and they might have a lot of other stronger things than you. But with a smaller organization that's going to be more nimble, there's a lot of things that you're going to have that you can take advantage of. And so I would definitely start with all the on-page stuff that Zach just talked about, because again, that's in your control. What your website says is totally in your control. You can change it today, you can change it tomorrow. And so starting there, I think, is one of the best foundations, because no matter what you do outside of that, whether it's the SEO channel, whether it's the paid channel, or whether it's things outside of SEO, everything is meant to drive people back to your website. So you want that to be as dialed in as possible. So I think that needs to be the absolute foundation of just having a good website, have a good landing page, get your Google Business Profile optimized, and then really also set up a good menu, have a native menu. I personally am always a bigger fan of a native menu over the iframe menu. And just noting really quickly, the iframe menu is typically going to be a lesser or a cheaper option or a lesser expensive option. And so it can work in a lot of situations. I know sometimes mom and pop shops may need to start with that just because of the fact that it's a lesser expensive option. But ultimately moving to something that's going to be a native menu where you're going to be able to have unique product URLs and you're going to be able to list your entire menu that's crawlable and indexable for Google is a great way to be able to make up ground on an MSO that you might have. They might have a bigger brand name than you are, but if you've got a menu and you've got 3,000 products in that menu and all of them are indexed by search engines, that can help you make up ground on a MSO that maybe has a native menu or something that isn't fully indexable. And so I think that's going to be a great area to start. I think another area is just the fact that you're typically more local. One of the things that's more difficult the bigger an MSO gets is the harder it is for them to be as local as you are. And so when you're local in a lot of these areas, you're going to have a lot of business partnerships. You're going to have a lot of connections in the area that don't necessarily exist with these MSOs. And so I think taking advantage of those things, tap into those things, get links from some of these partnerships that you might have. You might have a partnership with a local sub shop, and hey, it's buy a couple of subs and get a couple discounts on a pre-roll, or vice versa, at the whatever the local sub shop is, and you can do that across many different things. So I think that's going to be a really good thing. Let's see what else. Also, just making sure that that even though the MSO's brand is bigger than you are, and typically they're going to get more searches, that doesn't mean that you shouldn't build your own brand. I can't stress having a brand enough. Search engines, especially Google, they like to rank brands. They want people to search for your brand. And so when you think about it, a lot of people refer it as to off-page SEO. So essentially a lot of things that you're doing off of your website. So these things can be billboards. These things could be other display ads. These things could be, again, other partnerships with local businesses in your area. when people see a billboard or when people see those things, yeah, they don't always take action right away, but ultimately what it drives them to do is to Google your business name. Like, you want more people searching your business name, because the more searches your business name gets, the more Google is going to look at you as a brand, and the more they're going to rank you as a brand. And especially when those searches are happening in your local area, Zach highlighted a lot of great things about the proximity of the searches and the fact that they're in the local area. The more searches you have happening in your area, the more that that's going to benefit you. And so you definitely want to take advantage of that. And so think about your off-page stuff, because all these off-page things can drive the on-page search. So I think that that's going to be a big thing. Let's see what else outside of that. There's plenty of other things, and I'm sure that I'm missing these things. I'm kind of thinking of them off the top of my head as I go. But I think ultimately at the end of the day, look at your competitors too. Like, if you're competing with an MSO, like, look at their website. Like, what are they doing? Look at the top pages. Like, you can totally pull up a SEMrush or an Ahrefs or any of these SEO tools, and a lot of them have free versions of the tool. Like, put your website or put their website into it and see what pages are performing well, and then see where you could maybe take advantage of some of the things that they're already doing. I mean, the benefits of competing against a bigger competitor is, they've got a bigger marketing budget. So if you see what they're doing marketing in the area, how could you take advantage of some of the stuff that maybe they're doing, or how could you take advantage of some of the stuff that maybe they're not doing? And that could be, specials in the store, or that could be, like I talked about, the native menus, or, there's a lot of different things that you can do. But, when I look at SEO and a lot of the, various services that I offer and that I'm working with brands on, I'm typically just looking at it in 3 different areas. So on page, which is a lot of stuff that Zach talked about. So being able to set up those on page elements, that native menu, the Google business profile, like all this stuff that you have control of, certainly set those things up. Then there's technical. So making sure that it's fast, making sure that it's friendly. Is it easy to get to your menu, or do I have to click 20 other things to be able to get there? And having those technical things. And that's as easy as working with a developer to be able to help them dial in your speed and, make sure that your site's technically sound. And then those off-page elements that I talked about. So the local business partnerships, the other sorts of channels. A lot of times I see dispensary operators, or I'll talk with people who are operating in the space, and they don't really have a plan for what they're doing outside of SEO. And it's like, SEO is literally one channel. Certainly, it touches all of the other channels, so every channel impacts it in some way, shape, or form. But it's just one channel. It doesn't mean you can't do paid. But yeah, I think that's kind of, I don't know where I'm at time-wise.
Yeah,
but,
so we got about 2.5 minutes, and so just kind of jump into what you were saying. Well, you made a really great point about how MSOs can't move as fast as the small mom and pop stores. So what are 2 or 3 ways that they can make quick action to really bring in new customers in a manner that an MSO might? Off the top of your head, what would you say?
I think the first thing is the native menu. I mean, that's typically the biggest one. So if an MSO is operating on an iframe or something like that, installing a native menu is pretty easy. You just have your web partner, whoever you're working with, that can do that for you. But having one of those, I think right off the bat is just going to be an important thing. The next thing is those, just the fact that you're more local. You've got more local connections. You've got other businesses and people in the area that you probably know. Connect with those people. Do some volunteering events. Like, find ways that you can do things in your local area and in your local market and give back to your community. And doing that is going to help you earn those local backlinks and those local mentions and other things like that in the local papers and, media and things like that are going to help you earn those local links that are going to help you build that local authority. So I think that those are probably the main things that I would think of.
Sweet. Yeah. Thank you so much, Brady. We're about a minute short, but whatever. Let's go ahead and keep it moving. So we're actually, making good time already for this panel. Have lots of other stuff that we'd like to get into here. And so let's go ahead and move on to our man, Musa. Is Musa G, right? Am I saying that right? Should have asked.
Yes, that is correct.
Should have asked how to pronounce all your last name. Zach Santo. Anyways, Musa G. What are the top tools that dispensaries need to leverage alongside their SEO to ensure that they're bringing in new customers?
Yeah, that's a really great question. Honestly, understanding what Google wants is something that we have focused on for a very long time. Building a system around being consistent and understanding the data to achieve a goal. We're very, very good at getting our client stores to show up in front of their customers, especially on the local front. We're very, very focused on the Google Business Profile because of how important it is for a store. It is their online identity. It's their EIN, as what I call it, right? It's without it, you don't exist. Good luck growing a store if your Google Business Profile is not somewhat optimized. And our biggest opportunity is putting a solution in place that not only simplifies the necessities that a local store owner would need to meet the needs that Google is looking for, but also put it in such a way to where they're not having to worry about it. Some of the hardest things, especially because of the industry that we're in and the clients that we help, they're minority owners, right? This industry has been targeted by, the big prisons, the whole notion of the fact that, it's hard because we're transitioning into an industry that's growing so fast, but has a negative nuance to it because of the illegality behind it, right? So our last thing that we want to do is focus on having a store owner figure out what Google wants. And with that being said, I think the happy medium is looking at the data, understanding what Google wants on the local front, and putting something together that allows these owners to really see that and how it affects their direction requests, right? We track a lot of things. We're very data oriented. So what we found is that Google likes consistency. They like authority and branding as well, just like Brady said and Zach said as well. Having a brand and also translating that into the Google Business Profile by utilizing the multitude of different ways you can target customers in the Google Business Profile is huge. One of the ways is really just interacting with customers on the profile. We've seen huge increases just by replying back to reviews uniquely, right? We've seen just having high keyword rich content that's focused on the keywords that you're not doing so well, right? Understanding your market, your competitive analysis, right? Starting with the data that really matters. So at the end of the day, the biggest area of opportunity for local stores, specifically to attract not just new customers, but keep them coming back as well, is the goal for us as a whole, for our clients. Also, given that we have so much insight into how a store is supposed to be ran, just in general, the nuances between the states that our clients are in, right? What type of products that state can sell, from THCA to THC to medical, recreational, and the changes that happen in opportunities as well. We have some clients that come to us for data just to where to open their store, right? So the Google Business Profile is, especially given that it's been, it's regulated, but on a scalable idea, it's hard, right? When you have multiple locations, when you're just starting out and you don't really understand what it takes to really get the results that are needed from SEO. SEO is not overnight. It's something that is for partners of ours that we really focus on setting the proper expectations. Okay. So one of the things that we really love to do is work with people who are here for the long run, especially given that this industry grows by over 24% every single year and more. So some of the things that business owners can do is just interact on your Google Business Profile. Think of it as an online social media for a gateway between you and your customers and people who are potentially looking for you. An opportunity that we've seen is when you get a negative review. Some of the things that we've seen that can help is offering anyone who saw that review to mention the person's name that had that problem. And if they do come in, they can get a 10% off or whatever situation, and really make it right. As a business owner, things happen. You can never make 100% customer satisfaction, idea behind a store, and having a proper reputation and really caring about your customers locally and the business as well is a huge opportunity. So like I said, being consistent. So replying back to reviews uniquely, not just, thank you for the review or thanks for the feedback or whatever. Hey, John, thanks for coming in. We really appreciate that our bud tender Max was there and really helped you figure out what you wanted in terms of a strain. We'd love to have you back. Anyone who sees this review, and you mentioned the name Max, we'll offer you X, Y, and Z. There are so many ways to be consistent. Another way is really optimizing the Google business profile by playing with the owner dashboard. When you log in to manage your Google business profile, there are so many different opportunities that you can look at and really start to interact with. Making updates, right? Keyword rich updates that focus on not just your local area. Some of the things that we focus on that are huge is maximizing the reach, right? For a local store, you're going to get X amount of mile radius that really helps you attract more customers. So having an understanding of where you are, doing very well in terms of what keywords are ranking and where you're getting most of your traffic is great. But how do you push the needle forward? How do you focus on keywords that people are searching for? So understanding competitive analysis, keyword research, and your local market and the products that are in demand, right? There are some things like Kratom, huge increase in search volume for Kratom. 770, right? Huge increase because of the way that people are searching for this stuff. So really understanding the market, where you are in the country, and then also tying that back into what Google wants and what your customer is looking for is a huge way to really start pushing the needle forward for your store. In terms of what we're focusing on right now, aside from really getting these Google business profile ranked, is getting customers back in the store. Some of the ways we do that is really incorporating loyalty programs and that branding aspect, right? When you win a customer, you want them to come back because then that brings a lifetime value that is practically, it's an infinite, right? Especially when you have great customer service, when you have great quality products, and you're also that brand dominant person in the local area. So at the end of the day, I really want to have this message clear for people. If you open a store and you want to have people find you, right? Even if there are other brands out there that are huge and the MSOs are out there and you really don't know what you want to do, focus on your Google business profile and be as consistent as you can with it, and then build that reputation and it'll follow. It's just like going to the gym, right? It's not going to be overnight. You go today, you're not going to see results, but at the end of the day, the Google business profile, especially for local stores, it's the main driver of gateway for customers. I do want to also focus on some other things that we found is not just Google, but other ways that people search. We're in
2 minutes.
Okay, awesome. So we're in an age of voice search, right? AI, right? We're in an age of different ways that people are looking for not just businesses, but are looking for services and products. So some of the ways that we're a little more versatile in terms of finding customers for our local stores is focusing on voice search, right? If they're using Cortana or they're using Alexa or they're using Siri or even Bing or they're on multiple different citations, building the SEO local front through citations and voice search and some of the other platforms that we use is also huge because it helps Google know that if you're friends with Google's friends, it's going to most likely put you out there more. So that's one thing that is huge. Figure out some ways to build some authority in your SEO on the local front, and that'll also propel the amount of views on the profile, the amount of clicks on your website, the amount of people. If you're not grabbing emails on your website, huge opportunity. Build an email list. It's one of the oldest tricks in the book for email marketing, right? It's building an opportunity to provide value. We did also just release an ebook. It's on our Instagram, webrankdigital.com, at webrankdigital.com. If you go there, social media is huge. A lot of accounts that we've seen have been shut down. If you download this ebook, it's going to keep you compliant. So because of the regulation, it's a free ebook. Download it. Puff Prosper, and it's basically an ebook that shows you guys how to keep your Instagram out there, not get shut down, and stay compliant, because that's another thing. Having products, having content that's focused on your business is a key way to keep customers coming back as well.
Sweet, perfect timing. Thank you so much, Musa, Brady, Zach. I think that was all really, really informative. I kind of wanted to move forward a little bit here. I got a quick question. Maybe this is like 30 seconds for each of you. What is the most impactful change that you can make for a dispensary on day one with their SEO? Let's start with Zach.
Yeah, I would say it depends where they're at, right? So like hopefully that their website has been taken care of from a place of like the foundation. So their meta title's optimized with dispensary in the name, for example, and the town that they're in or the city that they're in. If not, that's the first step. Is just optimizing the meta title, the H1, the H2s, having like 200 to 500 words of content on the homepage, targeting the keywords that homepage or the landing page that's associated with the Google business profile, if you've got multiple locations, should show up for.
Yeah, what do you think, Brady? On day one, you just got hired, what's the first thing you're going to touch?
I'd agree. I think it depends, because sometimes like you can find a website that's pretty well optimized, and so the next step would be something that's further down the line. But sometimes you find a website that's not optimized at all, and so if it's not optimized at all, I think that fixing like your meta titles on those important pages, your homepage, your location landing pages, and those sorts of things are going to be important. Optimizing that Google business profile is going to be important. But if those things are taken care of, then I think that's where you typically go on to creating content for places around your area, creating product-focused content, or optimizing your menu if you've got a native menu already. So it kind of depends on the client and where they're at, but for the most part, those are going to be the biggest things.
What do you think, Musa?
I think these guys know exactly what they're talking about. The thing that we found the most is, and surprisingly enough, having a Google business profile is 30% of the time when somebody onboards with us, they're either not verified or suspended, right? So understanding the value of having an active verified Google business profile is number one. Number two is optimizing it, just like they said, right? The main category. If you're listed as a vaporizer store and you sell THC products, your primary category is conflicting with the products that you have, right? Understanding how to utilize subcategories, meaning sub stuff. So if you've got CBD products in your store, if you've got all types of health products, kratom, this and the third, add that in there, right? Also, the categories itself have descriptions, right? Add the descriptions, the type of products that you're offering, really having that in place so that Google understands your business. Google can only recommend you as much as the information that you can give it, right? So going in there, making sure your primary category is exactly the main one you want to focus on. So if you're a dispensary, focus on cannabis store. If you're a vape shop, focus on vaporizer store, vape shop, etc. Your keywords. If you're not aligning your keywords with the primary category, you can only do so much about helping Google help you get out there. Another thing is also the reviews. If you're not replying back to reviews, you do that today, you're getting a 10, 20% increase in visibility just because you're interacting with your customers.
Yeah, love it, fellas. Really great information. Got one more question for each of you individually. Maybe it's about 5-10 minutes each. As we're starting to cut into time here. Let's start off with Musa. And so, one of the big areas of divide in cannabis marketing, maybe not always, but is the idea of paid media. And so I've seen some really great strategies in regards to doing programmatic ads. So I have a friend, Ryan McMullen. Shout out, Ryan. Hope you're doing well, bro. He has this great idea of, people are on their phones getting high. It's like, why don't we target them on their phones while they're on these apps playing their phones? And then some other people have taken it a little bit further, going on platforms like Google and Meta. And I think one of the big pieces of education is that you kind of have to lie about whether or not you're a cannabis dispensary, and you kind of have to be a little deceptive and tricky about what it is you're actually selling to get these ads approved. Musa, what do you feel about these paid media strategies? What do you think works the best, and what are you implementing over at WebRing?
That's a great question, and I want to break it down based on need and where you are as a business owner.
Sorry, bro. Just to jump in, let's also touch upon weed maps too. Obviously, that's another big platform I wanted to put in here. Go ahead.
I'm going to focus on that, and then I'll touch a little bit on weed maps and our opinion on them. But at the end of the day, like I said, the biggest opportunity is where you are, where you want to go, and what channels you use to achieve that consistently. So if you're just starting out and you're focusing on programmatic advertising, you're in the wrong phase, right? That's for scaling your store and your business, right? So starting off with the Google business profile, 100%. Then your website, authority for that website. Then we're going into, okay, what are our goals as a business, as a brand, right? Programmatic advertising is great. It works if you do it right, if you have a budget, if you understand the best ways to do it. But when you're doing it to skip the hard work that you have to set the foundation for in terms of what SEO can give you, then you're just cutting corners. And if you know anything about cutting corners, they don't last very long. So programmatic advertising and also advertising on Meta and Google, especially with the regulations, should be something that you focus on when you've built local authority and you just want to expand it and also scale it. In terms of Weed Maps is a middleman. They're great for people who are starting out as well to really get some fast traction. But what they do is they monetize traffic that comes from Google, right? They steal that authority from the local business owners and the people that are actually putting in the work and selling the products, and they sell the traffic to the highest bidder. It's a great model. It works. It works for some people great if they have the budget to do so, but it doesn't make it fair in terms of what capitalism is supposed to be, right? When customers are looking for the best products and the best local dispensary, they're going to go to Weed Maps because of where they rank, right? They're like Home Advisor, they're like Thumbtack, they're like Angie's List, but for the dispensary world. So they're great for the right client, right? Because you can get some ROI back a lot faster. But sustainability, it's absolutely insane. I mean, it's kind of like having a water line, right? The minute you turn off that pressure, there's nothing coming in if you're not focusing on the things that matter for your brand and the longevity of your business as well, on the local front, on the reputation, on the products, on the customer service, on understanding your competition and local market as well.
I love it, Musa. Thank you for that informative response. Let's jump over to Brady. And so you actually kind of predicted this at the front end of this conversation. Let's talk about AI, my man. And so, as you know, AI has been growing crazy. It's going nuts. For example, we've already implemented automations to do anything like on-page SEO, technical SEO stuff. We can just do some clicks and really get most of the site optimized. And so we've had some good results with that in our end. But I'm curious on your end, what level of leverage should you put on AI? How do you use AI, and how would you recommend your partners to use AI?
Good question. And I'd say that's ongoing, honestly. It's every day it seems like it's changing. So there's definitely that. I would say blanket across the board. I don't trust it that much without an expert or without somebody who really knows what's going on and who understands organic search and SEO and all the different, digital marketing aspects, and can really look at something and say, this seems like a good recommendation, but it's not. Or, hey, this is a decent recommendation, but this and this and this needs to be adjusted, and then it'll be good. And so I think that AI just on its own right now, I don't trust it at all. But AI with somebody who knows how to use it and knows what type of end result they're looking to get, I think that's a better situation. Certainly I'm using it in various contexts of maybe content creation and things like that. But at that point, it's okay, the content's created faster, but you need to spend 3 or 4 or 5 different rounds editing that content because the content needs to sound like you. You can't just spin up something on AI and throw it out there and expect it to rank well in search results or to do all these things for you that content would normally not do. And it's like, if it doesn't sound like you, if it's just like generic spun up content, it's not going to rank well. And then kind of another interesting portion of this conversation is like, there's the AI tools and what AI can do for you. But then there's also the AI overviews and the AI ranking and search results. And so there's a huge conversation that needs to be had around that. Number one, because a lot of times your content can be stolen from these people. They can be stolen from search engines and regurgitated and then spit out as an AI overview, and then they're not even giving you credit for it. So there's a lot of kind of just crazy stuff that's going on with that and search results and things like that. But, bringing it back to your question around tools and things, I think they can be helpful. I think they can be valuable, but they're only going to be as helpful and as valuable as the expert that you have or as the person who knows what's going on can be able to use it and apply it. And so if you've got somebody in-house that can handle that stuff, awesome. Like an MSO or a bigger operator is probably going to have somebody like that can utilize that. But maybe these smaller mom and pop shops that are just kind of trying to spin things up and get it going, could it be helpful for you? Sure. I'm not saying don't use it, but I'm saying you can also get yourself into trouble. So you definitely need to have somebody that's there to kind of coach you along and work with you on it for sure.
Yeah, you made a really great point that you don't want to trust AI as it is. You want to collaborate with humans and have humans editing. I think that's a really, really important point. Thank you for that. Finally, Zach, Mr. Zach, One of the things I've noticed with dispensaries is that they get a little worried working with people like us because they think that we're going to go and take away their assets, go into their hosting, take their hosting, kind of hold it hostage, their website, not pass over access. How do you work to empower dispensary owners with asset ownership as opposed to just results?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean, the way that it works with CannaPlanners is the client or dispensary owns all of the content and assets on their website. So I think when it comes to like hosting and stuff, that can be difficult. I think like nobody necessarily wants to manage that on their own. If they do, then good for them. I'm not the developer at the end of the day, so hosting is not really in my realm of knowledge, but in terms of like owning your own content and assets, absolutely. Like any content that we create through the SEO service, once it's out of our hands and over to the client, that's theirs. That's their content now. They can edit that and do whatever they wish with it. We have recommendations on what they should and shouldn't change. But yeah, like they're paying for that content and those assets and it's theirs. So it's pretty much as simple as that, in my opinion.
Yeah, I wish it was as simple as that. I've had a lot of people come to me saying, "Yeah, we were paying $400 a month for hosting." I said, "What? $400 a month for?" Oh, yes, because it's with this agency. Yeah. I think the point that I was trying to hammer in is that not everybody's super honest about these sorts of things, and I love how you and CannaPlanners are empowering with asset ownership. Love it.
Yeah, I mean, there's aspects of. Oh, sorry. Yeah, go ahead, Musa.
You jump in.
Yeah, I think what Zach said is very important. At the end of the day, also setting proper expectations is huge, right? We're not here to, especially SEO. SEO is there's a lot of burn victims out there. They don't trust the marketing agencies. They don't trust the fact that we have their best interest at heart because of 90% of agencies. Honestly, they want to do what they promise, but they just don't deliver. So especially as you scale and as you grow, focusing on the systems and also the processes that you have in place and being very upfront and setting that proper expectations about how long it's going to take is huge. That trust factor is only going to start from day one and continue. So the reason why we have so many burn victims is not because SEO doesn't work or marketing agencies don't work. It's just the bad actors that are out there that are over promising and under delivering. So Zach is 100% with that, right? Really being transparent about your agreements, not having, small terms and conditions and these, nuanced little bits and pieces that are going to make them run away and really make it harder for the right guys to make their goals achievable at best.
To add to it too, like it's really important to have great partners that you trust, like Musa said, because at the end of the day, managed hosting can be a really great thing. Like if you're working with Cloudways or WordPress or whoever's hosting your website and the server goes down, like you want somebody to be Security. On top of that, be able to, manage that and talk to whoever's hosting the website and send a quick message to support and get on top of it right away. Like if you're managing the hosting for your own operation and you're also the GM and the owner and the bud tender and the guy at the register, you're not going to even know that your website went down. So I think it's, it's a nuanced subject, but it's really important to have a partner you trust at the end of the day.
Yeah, and I think also sharing the keys. Go ahead, Brady. Go ahead. Sorry.
I was just going to say the thing I'd add on to that too is just making sure that they have cannabis industry experience. Musa made a great point that it's just like there's some of them that it's not that they don't want to execute or do the things that they said that they would do. They either are inefficient as an agency or they might just not understand the cannabis industry as well as they say that they are. I hear that all the time where I'll see an agency that'll be like, "Oh yeah, we worked with the one CBD client one time," and it's like, "Oh great, okay, so that makes you understand a cannabis retailer."
Damn right, it does.
Not even close. And so making sure that these people have knowledge of the industry, because otherwise you're going to essentially spend a bunch of your time educating them on this industry and coaching them up on this industry, and they might spend a ton of time wasting precious and valuable resources. Like there's so many SEO tools that you can give a native menu an iframe menu site to, and it's going to throw hundreds of errors, and they're going to say, "Oh, we need to look into all these things." And it's like, you don't need to look into any of those things because you can't fix any of them because it's an iframe menu. And so they're going to wind up chasing their tail on things that can't even be fixed anyways because they don't understand the nuances of the industry.
Love it, fellas. Let's kind of come full circle here. And so we've been going for almost an hour now. So I kind of wanted to ask you guys a fun question. And so if you're not comfortable answering it, it's completely cool. But I actually ask this to everybody who comes on my podcast. Let's start off with eeny, meeny, miny, Brady. How do you get high, Brady? What's your preferred method of consuming?
I definitely love smoking. I mean, smoking just like the classic OG way, like, no doubt about that. I've been getting more into the concentrates as of late, but I would say that I've also tried to curtail my smoking just for health reasons and things like that. And so I'd say probably RSO has been one of the biggest ways. Like RSO and beverages have probably been my biggest ways, because with RSO, it's just, you can't get any healthier than that. It's the full broken down plant, drop it on some food, whatever you're eating, and then boom, there you go. But that and beverages have really been kind of my go-tos as of late.
Love it. What about you, Musa? How you get high?
Great question. Honestly, I don't smoke, but I do dabble with a lot of Delta 9 and Delta 10, especially relaxation. Here we're based out of Charlotte, North Carolina, so we're not legal in that front. So I'm not going to disclose anything when it comes to that regard. But I personally do not, pertain or smoke. But some of the ways that I relax, or especially when winding down, is using some Delta 8 or Delta 9 gummies. And I've tried some of the beverages as well. There are some interesting brands that I've seen pop up with beverages and how they're integrating the space into beverages, and they're pretty awesome. Hopefully, when the blanket statement does come in with the laws, we all get to experience the ones that really work for us as an individual, and also as a consumer from what we're doing on our front. Yeah.
Love it. I'd actually love to talk to you more about the Deltas. I haven't really tried them that much, but we'll say that for another time. Zach, how do you get high, my man?
I'm a joint smoker, kind of old school. I just like joints. That's it. I'm about like I like holding on to something. Yeah. I don't know what it is about that, but I like Moose's answer, because like at CannaPlanners, we've got a team of 20 now, and I'd say like 60% of our team doesn't smoke weed. And I think that's cool as fuck, just to be in an industry that is so new and so like involved in the culture from that perspective, and like still be really excited about it and not partake at all is great.
I love it. I think it sounds like Brady and I aligned the most. I used to smoke all the time, to the point where I just got like this bronchitis. It's like, okay, I need to stop. So once I got to that point, I learned to make my own oils, and it's way better. You can get the experience with all the coughing. But to wrap this up,
from a medical perspective, I will say edibles were amazing. I mentioned beforehand I had broken both of my legs, and I was held up in a wheelchair for 4 months, and I was just crushing edibles nonstop. The Wana gummies, I think they're like RSO, so like that fast impact. Those were next level. I stopped all opiates within like a week or two. It's just
hell yeah. Yeah, congrats on that, man. What was I gonna say? Yeah, let's come full circle here. It is 2025. We're all of us are primed to grow in the next 5 to 10 years. But I'm really curious, each of you individually, what are you expecting in the next 5 to 10 years for cannabis? You expecting legalization? You expecting more pullback? What do you think, Musa?
I think it's a combination of the current political climate, regardless of where you stand, and also understanding the value that this industry will bring to the economy. Politics aside, it is a industry that is going to promote jobs, promote growth, and also promote small business, right? Small business Saturday is huge, right? Supporting your local business on any industry is huge. So legalization will happen. 100% will happen. Which administration, maybe this one, maybe the next one, no one really knows. I will say, because of the past of what this industry has brought, making it right, especially with giving the opportunity to the minority community, which I come from as well, is huge, right? And to do that, the federal side, especially given the crypto climate as well, we've seen that it's kind of two industries that really collide, cannabis and crypto, right? And we're seeing deregulation across the board for the crypto side, and I'm pretty much predicting that happening within the next 5 to 10 years. Yeah,
love it. Music to all of our ears. What do you think, Zach?
I don't know. I think that's who
does though?
I think at this point we've got so much momentum that I don't see us going backward. I think it's just a matter of how quickly we go forward. One of the things that I'm like really stoked about and anticipating is the brand space. Like there's no Budweiser of cannabis yet. I think like maybe it could be argued like you got cookies and like some large players, but yeah, I don't think that has been established in the case that it has been in some other, adjacent industries. So, most of who we work with as CannaPlanners, like similar to WebRank, we work with hundreds of dispensaries. It's a lot of retailers, but the brand side has been growing. And like I said, I come from automotive too. So like what was really intriguing at dealer.com is like OEMs and co-op dollars and things like that. Like it just introduces a completely different realm of marketing and spend. So yeah, I'm watching closely to see who those players are going to be.
Yeah, we'll see. I love the I don't know. That's how I'd respond to it too. Well, I guess we'll find out. Yeah, maybe this administration might give us legal, maybe not. What do you think, Brady?
I'll put it this way, Sam. I was in high school telling my parents that I was going to work in a regulated cannabis market back in like 2010, and they were like, "We're not going to see that in our lifetimes," and here we are. So.
Yeah. It seems a little bit more possible. Yeah, definitely. What do you think, Brady? What would you say next 5 years?
Good question. I would definitely start with I don't know, because I don't think anybody knows. A lot of people like to speculate, but I think the current administration, it seems like the play with them is probably not going to be to do anything on the federal level. I think they're going to leave it up to the states, and so I think that means we just kind of maintain as we are, and states just kind of continue to slowly open as they do. But I do see a huge movement on the beverage and the Delta 8 side of things, and people doing that. I mean, a lot of those companies are shipping nationwide, and so some people love it, some people hate it. But at the end of the day, it's getting cannabis into more people's hands, and it's continuously to break down the stigma. So I think the industry continues to grow. I think we continue to push on things. It's sad to see a lot of states, like I'm in Michigan, and I'm seeing states like us that are now trying to tax it even higher at higher levels to do, various things that were supposed to be fixed in other areas, like fixing our roads and other things like that. So it's sad to see that, because that's always going to hurt the smaller operators. But the thing that I do like about the lack of the federal recognition and federal legalization is that I think that it gives smaller operators more chances and more opportunities to build that brand that Zach was just talking about, to become that first Budweiser brand. When we have something that's on the national level, or if it gets federally legalized at some point, you're going to see all these massive brands and massive amounts of money get thrown at this. And so I think when it's in the state that it's in right now, it gives these smaller operators more of an opportunity to be able to build something that could be acquired when that legalization hits down the road. But I don't think it'll happen in the next handful of years. I think it's just going to stay at the state level, and we'll just kind of continue to slowly open up as we do. So hopefully people just continue to push and build good businesses. I mean, that's the end of the day. Like a lot of these operators that go out of business, it's there's various sorts of reasons that they go out of business. So it's like, man, just keep pushing, keep growing your brand, and just try to do good business. Like, do good by people, give back to the industry. There's a lot of people's backs that this industry has been built off of, and so we all need to keep giving back to those people. But I'm excited to see it continue to grow, because that's definitely going to.
Absolutely. Love the state level prediction. I think that you spot on, maybe right there. We'll see. But thanks again, everybody, for coming on. We got Brady from Evergreen Digital, Zach over at CannaPlanners, and then Musa at WebRank Digital. You guys have offered a lot of valuable content for us, and so thank you for coming on this podcast, sharing some of your knowledge. Definitely looking forward to continuing to connect with each of you, watch each of you grow, and continue to kick some ass. So thank you for coming on the podcast.
Right on. Thanks for having us.
Thanks for having us.
Hey, Sam here. Thanks again for listening to the GDM podcast. We do websites and SEO for cannabis brands and operators, and we do things a little bit differently here at GDM, where we can promise results within weeks rather than months. And so if you're looking to sell more ounces, bongs, other premium products, start selling some more weed, get in touch with us at Green Dispensary Marketing to learn more. Thanks again for listening, and hope you have a great day.